But yes, anyway, there's been an interview this morning, a Labour front bencher by the name of Jonathan Ashworth. And he says there is definitely an election coming in May. That is, I mean, he seems confident about that. And he's the second Labour front bencher who's come out. Do you remember Emily Thornberry said it was the worst kept secret in Westminster? The worst kept secret in Westminster. I mean, I'm somewhat relieved by that. You know, firstly, because I would rather the election was happening sooner rather than later. Like, let's just get these guys out. But secondly, if this is the worst kept secret in Westminster, that actually reassures me that there's no more Chris Pinchers out there. If this is the worst kept secret, maybe it's not quite the, you know, bubbling hive or cauldron of sex pests that we have all come to believe that it is. Anyway, so yeah, and oh my lord, oh my Christ, is it going to be the worst general election campaign to date? It's going to be so bad. It's going to be, oh God. Like, do you remember the last one with the FactCheckUK stuff and Boris Johnson refusing to appear in the debates? What about the time when they did like the stats, you know, and they ran stats on the Tory campaign and the Labour campaign? And they were like about 90% of the Tory campaign material was found to be dishonest, disingenuous, outright fantasy, whereas the Labour stuff was like 5%. Also, we're at the end of the campaign by that point, and everyone's like, oh, well, great. So whatever the result is, it's based on this chunk of misinformation. Like, we already know that, like, Conservative councillors, aspiring Conservative MPs, candidates who are looking for re-election, CCHQ, donors, we already know from internal memos that have been leaked out to the press, we already know that a big part of their strategy is just to lie. Like, they're just saying that now. They're like, do you know what? It doesn't even matter. Just say whatever you need to say to win that person over. When you're doorstepping, if they say that you've let the local public services down, that you've closed a hospital or whatever, just say you had to do it because Labour something. Just make something up. Just say Keir Starmer turned up at your house and threatened to kidnap your children unless you shut down the local care homes. Make it up. Just lie. You're going to have deep fakes. I mean, I still don't think that's really sunk into a lot of people out there. Just how dangerous AI and deep fakes are and are going to be in the upcoming general election. But if you cast your mind back to that FactCheckUK thing, you know, at that point, they just had, a Twitter account? And this is before Twitter became X and everybody could buy a verified badge. So CCHQ had a sort of an esteemed blue tick. Twitter was the technology they had at their disposal, and they chose to abuse it and exploit it. And they took the responsibility that they have to use it in a professional, sensible way with integrity and credibility in the middle of an election campaign, and they flushed it down the toilet. So I always think, like, you know, if that's the tech that was available at that time and that's how they behaved, now move it along 4 years and you're into an era of deep fakes and AI. Do you seriously trust the Conservative Party, the FactCheckUK Tories, to use deep fakes responsibly in a more desperate election where they're further behind in the polls? You're expecting them to behave more honestly now, are you? These guys. Do you think the Conservative Party have got saner in the last 4 years, do you? So yeah, man, look, this is going to be the worst election that you could possibly imagine. But this is why I always say, like, you know, Labour play too nice. You know, Labour have to, like, they're always held to a higher standard, so I kind of understand why they do. But also, I think, you know, like Keir Starmer, Emily Thornberry, Yvette Cooper, Angela Rayner, like, I like them. I think they've all got integrity. I think they're intellectuals. I think they're articulate. They're good communicators, mostly. But would it hurt Keir Starmer to hire in a couple of cunts? You know, just a couple of really, like, Machiavellian, mean-spirited, cruel lefties, because I'll volunteer for that. I don't, in the hugely unlikely scenario that Keir Starmer listens or watches this podcast, I just want to say I'm available. I'll do it. For King and Country, Keir, I will volunteer. I'll happily apply for that job to be Labour's secret weapon. I will be a cunt for Keir.